the best performance of the year by the Utah Jazz. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Locked on Jazz today. I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked on Jazz and making it your first listen of every day. And thank you for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. We are free and available on all podcasting apps as well as on YouTube. And today's show from Chicago after the best performance of the year by the Utah Jazz is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, here's the plan on the show today. We do have a late game watch. We'll look at Cody starting instead of Bryce Sensabaugh yesterday. We'll talk about the impact of that. What we saw, Lauri and Key continue to just be remarkable. And the defense has been good for a while, but let's revisit the best single performance all season long by the Utah Jazz. It is only the second time all year that the Jazz have finished a game with an offensive and defensive rating above league average. Brooklyn was the other one. It is only the fourth time all year the Jazz have won a game in which they never went into clutch play. Opening night was another one of those, in which the Jazz hammered the LA Clippers, which was probably up to tonight the previous best performance of the year. But this was really solid basketball. They jumped out early, led by as many as 17. Cleveland made the run. Turnovers were a major problem in the first half, and then they rectified all of that. This one's really interesting to look at quarter by quarter. We haven't done this in a while. We used to, when we were better, we used to do this all the time. I sometimes think it's an interesting way to look at it, and sometimes I think it's a little mysterious as a way to look at it. And that is when you look at the advanced metrics on it, this one would really swing. Because that first quarter for the Utah Jazz was absolutely everything you wanted to see. A 13-2 start. They went up by 17. Cleveland didn't seem to have a lot of juice. Jazz made a lot of shots. Cleveland didn't. And then as the night went on, the Jazz fell apart in the second quarter, outscored 40-20, and bounced back. That's the most impressive thing to me. And then this game wasn't close. This game was not close down the stretch. When the Jazz finally put it on them, early in the fourth quarter was Svi Mykhailiuk hitting back-to-back. And then Isaiah Collier burst past the defense on a kind of weird Jared Allen play. And Cleveland just had the wrong guys shooting. Cleveland came out in the fourth quarter and just the wrong guys took shots. But Merrill hit a three that made it a one-point game. You're like, uh-oh. And Mykhailiuk hits a three. Then Merrill misses. Then Mykhailiuk hits a three. And the Jazz go up 7. Then Evan Mobley, who's not a good three-point shooter, takes an open three. Collier rebounds and just runs by the Cavaliers to make it a 9-point game. Donovan answers, but then K-Love answers. And the Jazz are up 9. And it really... that was kind of it. They took a lot more great plays along the way, a lot more moments, but shortly thereafter, the Jazz were up 11 when Ace Bailey got an offensive rebound and threw it into Kevin Love on a pretty remarkable athletic play, and then Ace made another one later, and this game was over. And that was as good a performance. Defensively, that's the best performance of the year. Cleveland's offensive rating was a 105.8. The Jazz defense was in the 80th percentile. It has not been in the 80th percentile in any game all year. The defensive effective field goal percentage last night was a 52.7. That's about our 5th or 6th best, but you put the whole thing together and the fact that they did not allow any offensive rebounding. The Jazz defensive rebounding last night was incredible. The Jazz completely shut off that part of the game. Did not foul. 4 factors of the game: shooting, turnovers, offensive rebounding, and free throws. Jazz are never good in the turnover game. We just don't force turnovers. We did against Dallas, but we just don't very often. So we were okay for us on that. But we really won this game defensively because of the offensive rebound, or the defensive rebounding last night was incredible. And then we didn't foul. Now, in fairness, both those numbers can go look at Cleveland and say, like, where's your energy? Cleveland had 6 offensive rebounds in 48 opportunities last night. There's a serious lack of effort in some ways there by the Cavaliers. And the Jazz, who committed, I think it was 14, 15 turnovers in the first half, only committed 16 by the end of the night. I mean, really, that's the best. There's nothing else to be said. That's the best performance by the Jazz all year long. Third quarter, the Jazz turned it over twice. Fourth quarter, the Jazz did not turn the ball over. Fourth quarter, the Jazz, you want to win a ball game against a team that is thought to be, well, at a different level than you are. Don't turn the ball over and allow only 1 offensive rebound. By the way, Cleveland did not turn the ball over either. The fourth quarter, according to the data I have, did not have a turnover in it. I do not feel that clean. That's pretty incredible. And then the other aspect of this is, have your studs step up. Have Keyonte and Lauri be absolutely incredible. We'll touch on them in a minute. The other one that's going on defensively is this is now 3 of the last 4 games the Jazz defense has been good. Okay, they were terrible against Charlotte, but that also was no Lauri, no Nurk. Like, I think there's 2 things that are going on there. Which on the Charlotte game, there was a serious fatigue factor, which I think will come back and bite us here again. And when no one's lost on the ulterior motives that may be taking place around the status of our situation. And at some point, you're going to have that's going to have an impact on things. That would be what I would tell you. And so you lose by 55. Like that, you just throw that one out. Like Charlotte's not 55 points better. As I said yesterday, I was pretty unmoved by it. And so let's look at the Jazz. Ignore that game for a second. The Jazz, in the last 3 games, again, let me just put this in perspective, if I might. League average offensive rating right now is a 116. Jazz defense is last in the NBA at 123. Okay, those are the 2 numbers, 116, and our standard is 123. Our last 3 defensive games: Oklahoma City, a 111.3. Dallas, a 115.2. Cleveland, a 105.8. The Jazz defense, since the Portland loss, has been terrific and done it in some different manners. The consistency has been that the defensive rebounding has been elite in all 3 games. Other than the Oklahoma City game, because you have no choice, they have not fouled. Oklahoma City, you just have to foul because Oklahoma City just gets fouls. It has not actually been all shot defense. In fact, Dallas shot very well against the Jazz. But because they offensive rebounded and they didn't foul, and in that game they got turnovers, they were average. Last night, Cleveland shot okay, league average. They're not a great half-court team. They're 20th in the league in half-court offense. And the Jazz defensive rebound didn't foul. In Oklahoma City, they defended the shot really, really well. Oklahoma City missed shots. And the Jazz have stopped. NBA.com data is not very good on this. I couldn't figure it out today. They have stopped giving up 26 off open threes a game. It's pretty impressive. And what's impressive about this is every conversation we've had about defense is the truth. They do not have the personnel to play defense. The Jazz defense right now, particularly their pick and roll defense, which we talked a lot about on this show for the last week or two, is that they corral the ball handler. They send the big holds onto it until the guard comes back. No one wants to play that defense. You would much rather play switching 1 through 5 or play drop. If Will Hardy had his choice and his personnel to play whatever defense he wanted, I 100% promise you, he would either play drop with a big that's dropping and protecting the rim, and everyone's staying to shooters, and you're playing 2-on-2 in the middle lane. Maybe you bring a third guy over, but you're really playing 2-on-2 and taking away outside shooters and protecting the rim. That's Rudy Gobert. Or you're playing switch because you have enough athleticism to switch. You can't switch with Kevin Love, Kyle Filipowski, or Yusuf Nurkic, and you really can't play drop with any of them either. So the Jazz have created this other defense for 3 nights. It's been really good. Well, it's been good. Not really good. It's been good, considering it's been awful before. All right, we got to talk about Lauri and Key. Key was monster again last night. Lauri every night. They are just fabulous. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also in Logan and in Linden. The Murdochs, 90-plus years in Utah, making sure that you get the no regrets experience. So that's stop one. Number 2 is the Hyundai. And we have purchased now lots of them. This has been funny. Blake and I joke about it, that ever since I joined as the spokesperson, I just keep buying cars from him. And so it works out for him really well. I'm the only spokesperson where he's made money off it. Kind of true. Both kids got a Santa Fe, and both kids still have a Santa Fe. The kids are in their 20s, and they both got them when they were 16. Spoiled. And my dad just got the Ioniq 6, loves it. I have the Ioniq 5. And I'm driving the Santa Fe hybrid right now. They're all terrific. So if you're going to head over to Murdoch Hyundai in Linden or in Logan or in Murray, email me first at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that I can give you the VIP experience that you deserve by being a Locked On every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and get $20 back immediately during basketball season. You get it when you make your first purchase. You don't get it immediately, but assuming you download the app to buy tickets. Basketball season, nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not just stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets really are going to cost. So that's why Game Time comes in. Browse the Game Time app. It's straightforward, intuitive. Finding tickets is easy. Just a few taps. Then you see the view from your seat. Taken care of. You get all the fees up front, taken care of. Features like zone deals help you unlock great seats and even better value, whether it's an NBA game or another live event. Everything is right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Code LOCKEDONNBA and get into the action with Game Time. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen, and thank you for being a Locked On every day. I love it. People are signing up. We're going to get that Discord channel to turn into what old fun Twitter was, get you with a few hundred of your favorite Jazz fans of all time, and get you interacting and having a great time. That's the goal, at least my goal, on the Discord channel. If we can get that to work fabulously. Here's how the Everydayer program works. If you want to have exclusive access, all access to me, Leaf Tulane had a breakdown of AJ's game against Utah, extra episodes, extra content, one-on-one texting with me, interaction, quick thoughts I have during a game or before a game, my prep notes. You enter the all access program. You also get 15% off the team store, the 15% off at the Locked On merchandise store, and Locked On Sports Today, audio ad-free, Locked On Jazz, audio ad-free. You get all of that for $15 a month or $150 a year. Super appreciate those people that have been joining. We've added a few people along the way. I will recognize them here in a moment. Special hello to Chris Hockett, who joined the Everydayer Club yesterday as a brand new member of the Locked On Everydayer Club. Glad to have you aboard. Also, welcome to Kelly Bunyan. Glad to have you as a Locked On Everyday member. And then for $5 a month, if you just want the Discord, the audio program, ad-free, and Locked On Sports Today exclusive audio. You can get that. That's all at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Really want to build up and get this to be the true Jazz fans spot and give you insight and information you want. So this hopefully you'll love it. All right. Lauri Markkanen and Keyonte George are awesome. And they really have become cornerstone pieces that have changed everything. We have 55-point losses and have all these other things, and we can lose focus. Like, what has happened this year is pretty great. And if you're a Jazz fan, Lauri is a different player than he used to be, and Keyonte is a different player, and that is vital moving forward. All right, third quarter, talking about the Jazz coming out, Keyonte had 16 in the third. He went 5 of 8 from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free. He had 16. And Lauri had 7. So they had 23 of 36. And then in the fourth, where a lot of the big plays came from other guys, they did seal the deal. Keyonte had 9 in the fourth quarter, going to the free throw line 4 more times. So second half, Keyonte had 25 last night. And Lauri Markkanen had 5. But Lauri just a beast on the boards last night as well. We're seeing a different style of play from Lauri. Lauri is driving and drawing fouls at a rate of power that we have not seen out of him before. Ron Boone on the broadcast last night brought up like that he thought Lauri was driving more, and in fact he is, and I'll dig into it a little bit more probably tomorrow's show. But Lauri's foul drawing. So Lauri now, they keep shooting percentage of plays, shot attempts when he's fouled is up to 12.8%. His all-star year, he was 13.3. Last year, he dropped to 9. And this year, he's back up to 12.8%. They also have a note on non-shooting fouls. So this is Lauri trying to come off a pick, and someone's grabbing and holding him and preventing him from getting free because he's such a force. That number is a career high and is in the 98th percentile of all players in the NBA. And the other one where the power is showing up is his and one percentage. What percentage of shooting fouls drawn did the player also make the shot? He's at 30%. That is the highest of his career, except for 1 year in Chicago it's kind of a weird year in Chicago. I can't figure out why that would be the case, but he spiked 1 year in Chicago. So he is playing a power drive game that we have not seen out of him before. And it's pretty awesome. He is coming around, lowering his shoulder, overwhelming people. And for the season, when Lauri drives, it opens up everything. I mean, my walk and talk in Cleveland yesterday was really like, we're going to be fine after 55-point loss because Lauri's playing. The other one is that Lauri's passing 23% of the time off his drives, which is just a way bigger number than he used to, and only turning it over 6%. Those are different numbers than we've seen out of Lauri in the past. So for the season, this is what we quickly looked up on the air during the broadcast and had a little fun with it last year, is that Lauri drove to the basket. He's driving to the basket 5.8 times a game. In the last 10 games, in which Lauri's played 7 of them, he's driving 7.6 times a game. It's a big jump. So basically, he's gone from 6 to 8. That's a 33% jump. His pass rate is way down. He's now passing 9% of the time. But he's getting points 92.5% of the time. So Ron Boone's onto it. He is more aggressively driving to the basket than he has in the past. In the last 5 games, which he's played 3 of them, he's driving 9 times a game. So Lauri is just a force right now. I'm not sure I believe NBA.com when I get this micro. It just makes so many mistakes. They claim he only drove 6 times last night. I just don't think it's true. NBA.com is a super depressing website because the more you dig down, the more you find errors, and then you wonder what all the data that you're using for all your broadcasts are. Just a side note. So those 2 guys are just beasts right now. And when we're trying to look at the big picture of the season, other than the big picture, we're trying to keep our draft pick, story of the year is that those two guys have stepped up and are monstrous and consistent night in and night out, and that is a cornerstone to where we are. And as Ace matures, which is going to take time, don't misunderstand that. It's going to take time. This is a young kid. He is not like he's 19. Some of these 19s are 25. He's 19, and he's really talented. Boy, the two plays he made late in the fourth quarter were incredible. The cornerstone of those two guys begins to get us places. We need more, but that cornerstone gets us places. Tomorrow is game 40, and we'll do our check, a 10-game check on all of our guys. And one of the things we do in our 10-game check of all of our guys is, I want to make sure that's right. Yeah, tomorrow's game 40. Is we rank the 7 prospects, and Keyonte will still be number 1. Cody Williams very well may be number 2. In fact, without ruining the excitement of that show 2 days from now, Cody Williams will be number 2. Cody Williams started yesterday, and if we just change our perspective ever so slightly, that if Cody Williams was on a decent team last year, he would not have played a single minute in the NBA. He was just so physically behind. And that we suddenly looked at Cody Williams and said, okay, well, this is going to be his rookie year. And frankly, if you look at a lot of guys in that draft class, this is kind of what they're doing. And Cody all of a sudden now has started 3 games in a row. He started last night with his feedback in a game in which Bryce Sensabaugh didn't start. So to some extent, he took Ace Bailey's spot, but he replaced Bryce Sensabaugh. Cody Williams has now suddenly been in the rotation for 9 straight games. It's nothing miraculous, but he's shooting 53% from the field, 29% from 3, which is not good enough, but it's not terrible. He's the best defensive player we have. He doesn't miss rotations. He's averaging 9 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. And when we really get down to, team game of those 10 games, which we'll talk about this week, it looked a little better. These are games 69 through 76. Or 6-7. Okay, sorry. Of his career. Right? Not only did he not play well last year, he barely played. And he's playing well, and it's exciting. And Will Hardy said it best the other day. Cody Williams is figuring out what to do now to help the team, not what he needs to do later. It's an interesting little difference there. Late game watch. One opinion that I have to change. One team's super meh. One team's breaking the game. Next on Locked On Jazz.
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. That's ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. Ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
Thank you very much, John. Today's show is also brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough, and you want someone in your network nearby with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor does exist. It's easy to find with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. You can search specific symptoms, quickly find the right fit. You can choose in-person or video visits, and you can check the verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe and communication skills. Real-time availability also means you can book instantly, no phone tech. Stop putting off your doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc/LockedOnNBA. That's ZocDoc/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen. All right, on Tuesdays, we do late game watch when I can. Some of these are old. Some of these are interesting. So, Spurs, Boston. Wemby got the ball, the right elbow, isolated, came across the lane on 2 dribbles to his left, pulled from 14 feet and hit. He then got the ball on the left elbow, went 2 dribbles to his right, and pulled on the right elbow and hit. And he's 7-4. It's really interesting. I was watching the Lakers-Celtic 30 for 30 while on the Peloton yesterday. And they were talking about like Magic at 6'8" was like breaking the game. And there's some aspects of like now everyone's 6'8". And Wemby is kind of the Magic of the 80s. The fact that we have this guy who's 7'4" doing all these things. Spurs, Wemby makes everything right. He's just completely dominating the game. I will say this on the Spurs. Stephen Castle's lack of shooting is got to be a problem at some point here. It was a little bit in that game against Boston in the game I watched. He's so good and so talented, but he really can't shoot, and he doesn't have great touch, and he's got the ball in his hands, which is going to get a little interesting with De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper and how it works. I frankly, if I were them, I would trade Stephen Castle probably for Giannis. It's not showing up entirely, except for it is. So the offense for the Spurs is 8 points worse per 100 possessions when Stephen Castle's on the floor. So it is showing up. Now, they're 8 points better per 100 possessions when he's on the floor defensively. It's hard to tell how much of that's with Victor because they're 14 points per 100 possessions better when Victor's on the floor. So that was the first one, was Boston. And Boston, this was before the Boston foul issues that are going on. Clippers beat Detroit. Here's what jumped out at me in that game. Jaden Ivey was a non-factor. I was super excited to watch this game because Jaden Ivey is one of the players I'm interested in, of whether the Jazz might go acquire them when Detroit can't. And Cade Cunningham was out. So this was like Jaden Ivey's chance. And he was a non-factor. And then even worse is that JB Bickerstaff didn't have him close the game. He only played 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. And Jenkins, who is a two-way player, who's good, who's like interesting, played 8. And is not really a point guard. So that really jumped out to me. Like, coaches tell you what you need to know. So here was a night where Jaden Ivey, now they're limited. Jalen Duren wasn't playing, and maybe it's not a full, and that's like judging our guys on when Keyonte and Lauri or whatever out, and maybe that's not fair. But it was noticeable to me that Jaden Ivey had no impact and didn't play. Like, he wasn't even on the floor. He got pulled because I wanted to see Jaden Ivey And I was hoping to see Jaden Ivey, and then there was a whole discussion whether Jaden Ivey's that guy and whether he's someone you go add to this franchise. The only other one I would say is, boy, I like Chris Dunn, but I do not think you can have a guy play 38 minutes, start for you, and take 3 shots in a game. I just maybe on that team you have to have it because there's so many possessions. Watch Cleveland, Minnesota, close game. And this is interesting. This is the game Minnesota won, and then Cleveland comes back and beats them the next time. No, wait, this game Minnesota won. So Minnesota looks to me like they've turned the corner. Now they're just not playing their bench. In this game, they played McDaniels 38, Randall 35, Gobert 37, Edwards 37, DiVincenzo 34, and they're going to be without Gobert and Edwards tomorrow, or today. And this one a little bit to like what we saw out of Cleveland last night. Cleveland looked a little feckless, and they went down by 20 in the third quarter and never really battled their way back. This wasn't as much of a late game watch as a game I was watching because I'm interested in both of them, and we were playing Cleveland. And then I watched the next one, and Cleveland looked great. Minnesota's turned the corner. Watching Minnesota, it's just too bad they don't have a little bit more bench. And I don't think the new ownership's willing to spend the money to get a new bench at the trade deadline. But Minnesota, and watching the end of their Minnesota Spurs game, late game, another one where like everyone played 38 minutes and Nasri played 31. Mike Conley's down to like 11 minutes a night. They're trying Bones Highland, but it's not really. Joe Ingles literally played 9 minutes the other night. They are so desperate. Rob Dillingham does not play. That was, remember, the story, my Western Conference story of the year was going to be Houston and Rob Dillingham, and whether or not Rob Dillingham can play and whether or not Reed Sheppard can play is determining factors for the Western Conference. And Reed Sheppard's down to 15 minutes a night in Houston, and they're suddenly struggling. So Minnesota, you watch them, and it's just too bad they're short players because they're really good, and it's coming together, and their starting five's as good as any in the NBA, but they don't have enough guys. One last note. The Houston story, they couldn't find a hotel. 0 chance that that's true. We did it last year. This is not like, I don't know why they're trying to do this. So last year we played Chicago, and we were here, and then election day we were here, and then we played Milwaukee. We jumped on a bus. We stayed in Chicago. And we drove from Chicago to Milwaukee 2 hours. It's not like, why would you move a hotel if you don't need to? And why would you go to Milwaukee instead of Chicago if you don't need to? Why would you go to Sacramento instead of San Francisco if you don't need to? So Houston, like this idea they couldn't find a hotel in Sacramento, just, I'm not buying it for 1 second. They decided to stay in San Francisco. Not a big deal. Like, not criminal. Like, it's 2 hours away. We did it last year. It worked fine. I don't remember how we played in Milwaukee, but like it worked fine. It was the right decision. Like your other choice, by the way, just so you have it, is you go drive from San Francisco the wrong direction to the San Francisco airport and fly to Sacramento and then drive from the airport to Sacramento. And it takes longer. Or you don't want your athletes sitting on a bus for 2 hours after a game. Like, so I just don't think it's that big a deal. But I don't know why they're lying about it. And they look meh. Oh, and the Laker late game watch. Woo, there's no juice there. There's no juice in that roster right now. A lot of teams this time of year. No one's going undefeated right now. We had a 10-game stretch where last time we looked at the last 10 games, I don't think anybody won more than 7 this year. This week, somebody won more than 8. We're in that kind of the year. That's why I wouldn't freak out about Oklahoma City actually losing games. That is Locked on Jazz. Best performance of the year by the Utah Jazz. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Get ready for the Bulls. Find fun things to talk about on a Wednesday. Will's Wednesday. Figure out what we got for him. It is all Locked on Jazz. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, if you want to follow me on socials, it's DLock09. If you want to join the Everyday Air Club, it's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. And if you want to get some more great basketball news, then stay on and YouTube, and you'll get the Locked on NBA national channel first ever on YouTube, or go to Locked on NBA and get game night every game, every night.